Hello everyone. How are you this fine Wednesday evening? And we definitely, excuse me, we definitely have some thunderstorms going on around here. So, I have these beautiful warm lights hanging up here but I don't know, it's pretty stormy weather. But we are on chapter 11. I came on a couple minutes early so we could chit chat, find out how all of you are doing. And we are working on chapter 11 today. How many of you are ready for chapter 11? I know I am. I told Paula earlier today, I hope the storm doesn't cause havoc so we can see what's going on in chapter 11. I would have been so disappointed if we wouldn't have been able to go on into chapter 11. And I know Mary Jo and Chloe are here. We got a couple of visitors, listeners, and Paula is here tonight. Thank you all for coming in. Give me a like if you haven't done so already. And if you are new in the channel, hit that subscribe button for me and give me a like. Down at the right hand side, you'll see these little hearts. Tap on those little hearts for me. I would appreciate it. That means a lot to me, and we are going to get started. It's rounding up on 9 p.m. So here we go. The Christmas Letters by Debbie Macomber, and we are on chapter 11. If you have missed the other chapters, go to the playlist for the live Christmas letters and catch up on what is going on Blossom Street. You will love it. Wynn phoned K.O. early Monday morning. I don't think this is going to work, he whispered. Pardon? K.O. strained to hear. Meet me at the French cafe, he said, his voice only slightly louder. When she had her sweats on and was ready to tackle her treadmill. After shedding the 2 pounds she gained, it wasn't much, but enough to send her racing for a morning workout. She knew how quickly these things could get out of control. Now, he said impatiently. Want me to pick you up? No, I'll meet you there in 10 minutes. By the time she entered the cafe, Wynn had already purchased 2 cups of coffee and procured a table. What's wrong? She asked as she pulled out the chair. He's driving me insane. Wynn, I like your... You made him sound worse than a deadbeat dad, but he's obviously proud of you, and do you mind if we don't list his admirable qualities just now? He brought one hand to his temple as if warding off a headache. All right, she said, doing her best to understand. The reason I called is that I don't think it's a good idea to set him up with Levon. Why not, K.O.? Her plan was brilliant. She had everything out in her mind. She bought the liquor, intended to dust and vacuum this afternoon. As far as she was concerned, the meeting of Max and Levon was destiny. Christmas romances were always the best. Dad isn't ready for another relationship, Wynn declared. He's still mourning my mother. Shouldn't he be the one to decide that? Wynn might be a renowned child psychologist, but she believed everyone was entitled to make his or her own decisions, especially in matters of the heart. She considered it all right to lend a helping hand, however, that was fair. I can tell my father's not ready, Wynne insisted. But I invited him for drinks this evening, and he accepted. It looked as if her entire day was going to be spent with Max Jeffries, a.k.a. Moon Puppy. Earlier, she'd agreed to take him to Pike Place Market, which was a must-see for anyone visiting Seattle. It was always an entertaining place for tourists, but never more so than during the holiday season. The whole market had an air of festivity, the holiday mood infectious. "What about Levon?" he asked. "I'll give her a call later." K.O. hadn't wanted to be obvious about this meeting. Still, when Levon met Max, she'd know the same way Wynne and K.O. had known that they were being set up. Excuse me. "Don't," he said, cupping her coffee mug with both hands. "Why not?" He frowned. "I have a bad feeling about this." K.O. smothered a giggle. "Are you telling me you found out your own psych—" "Hardly," he snorted. "Wynne," she said, covering his hand with hers in a gesture of reassurance, "it's going to work out fine, trust me." She seemed to be saying that a lot these days. He exhaled slowly as if he went against his better judgment to agree. "All right, do whatever you think is best. I've decided to simplify things. I'm serving eggnog and cookies and olives if anybody wanted them." When she'd find bake, she didn't know, but K.O. was determined to do this properly. "Come around 5:30, she suggested. "That early?" "Yes. You're taking care of arranging the dinner, right?" I don't think they'll get that far." "But they might," she said hopefully. "You make the reservation, and if they don't want to go, then we will, okay?" He nodded. "I'll see what I can do." Wynne took one last swallow of coffee and stood. "I've got to get to the office." Slipping into his overcoat, he confided, "I have a patient this morning, emergency call." K.O. wondered what kind of emergency that would be. An ego that needed splinting? A bruised ID? But she knew better than to ask. "Have a good day," was all she said. In his current mood, that was an iffy proposition. K.O. couldn't help wondering what Max had done to upset him. "You too," he murmured, then added, "and thank you for looking after Moon Puppy." "His name is Max," K.O. reminded him. "Maybe to you, but to me he will always be the hippie surfer that I grew up with." Wynne hurried out of the cafe. By 5 that afternoon, K.O. felt as if she'd never left the treadmill. After walking for 40 minutes on her machine, she showered, baked, and decorated 3 dozen cookies, and then met Wynne's father for a whirlwind tour of the Seattle waterfront, starting with Pike Place. She phoned Levon from the Seattle Aquarium. Levon had instantly agreed to drinks, and K.O. had a hard time getting her off the phone. Levon chatted excitedly about the man in the suit, the man K.O. had claimed to see with her psychic eyes. Oh dear, maybe this has gone a little too far. Max was interested in absolutely everything, so they didn't get back to Blossom Street until after 4, which gave K.O. very little time to prepare for the meeting. She vacuumed, and plumped up the sofa pillows, set out a dish of peppermint candies, a favorite of Levon's. The decorated sugar cookies were arranged in a special Santa plate. Kate particularly liked sugar cookies, which they weren't as tempting as shortbread or chocolate chip would have been. She decided against the olives. Was stirring the rum into the eggnog when she saw the blinking light on her phone. A quick check told her it was Zelda. She didn't have even a minute to chat and told herself she'd return the call later, precisely at 5:30, just after she put on all her Christmas CDs. Wynn arrived without his father. "Where's your dad?" K.O. demanded as she accepted the bottle of wine he handed her. "He's never on time. If there's an excuse to be late," Wynn muttered, "he'll get here when he gets here. You noticed he don't wear a watch." K.O. had noticed and thought it was novelty. Lavon wasn't known for her punctuality either, so they had at least that much in common. Already this relationship revealed promise, in her opinion anyway. "How did your afternoon go?" Wynn asked. He sat down on the sofa and reached for a cookie, nodding his head to the temple of Jingle Bell Rock. "Great! I enjoyed getting to know your father." Wynn glanced up, giving her a skeptical look. "What is it with you two?" she asked gently, sitting beside him. Wynn sighed. "I didn't have a happy childhood, except for the time I spent with my grandparents. I resented being dragged hither and yon based on where the best surf could be found. I hated living with a bunch of self-absorbed hippies. Whenever we returned to the commune, which was their so-called home base for a good part of my life, I had the feeling I was a hindrance for my father that he tolerated." Oh, Wynn. The unhappiness he still felt was at odds with the amusing stories he told about his childhood at Chez Jerome and during the dinner with Vicky and John. She originally assumed, I'm sorry y'all, I'm trying not to clear my throat, but we've got a storm and it's the weather, so I'm doing the best I can. I hope I'm coming across okay, and I'm sorry if I have to clear my throat. She originally assumed that he was reflecting his upbringing in his theories, but she now saw that wasn't the case. Moon Puppy Max might have been a hippie, but he imposed his own regiment on his son. Not much freedom there. "Well, that's my life," he said stiffly. "I don't want my father, and I dislike the way he's using you." "He's not using me." He opened his mouth to argue, but apparently changed his mind. "I'm not going to let my father come between us." "Good, because I'd feel terrible if that happened. This would be a near-perfect relationship if it wasn't for the fact that he was in Jeffries, the free child, and the fact that he hadn't forgiven his father, who had been a selfish and irresponsible parent." His eyes softened. "I won't let it." He kissed her then, and K.O. slipped easily into his embrace. He wrapped his arms around her and exchanged a series of deep and probing kisses that left K.O.'s head reeling. "Catherine," Wynn breathed harshly as he abruptly. She didn't want him to stop. You better answer your door," he advised. K.O. had been so consumed by their kisses that she hadn't heard the doorbell. "Oh," she breathed, shaking her head to clear away the fog of longing. This man did things to her heart not to mention the rest of her, than even a romance novelist couldn't describe. Wynn's father stood on the other side of the door, wearing another Hawaiian flowered shirt, khaki pants, and flip-flops. From the way he's dressed, he could be on a tropical isle rather than in Seattle with temperatures hovering just above freezing. K.O. could tell that Max's clothes irritated Wynn, but to his credit, Wynn didn't comment. Too bad the current Christmas song was Rudolph instead of Mecca. Oh, I'm not even going to try to say that. Makakaka. Oh, I can't even say it. K.O. welcomed him and just poured his eggnog when the doorbell chimed again. Ah, the moment she had been waiting for. Her friend had arrived. K.O. glided toward the door and swept it open as if anticipating Santa himself. "On," she said, forward to kiss her friend's cheek. "How good of you to come." Her neighbor had brought Tom with her. The oversized feline was draped over her arm like a large furry purse. "This is so kind of you," Levon said. She looked startled at seeing Max. "Come in, please," K.O. said, gesturing her inside. She realized the form sounded like a character in an old drawing room comedy. "Allow me to introduce Wynn's father, Max Jeffries. Max, this is Levon Young." Max stood and backed away from Levon. "You have on your arm." "It's Tom," Levon said. She glanced down lovingly at the cat. She stepped into the living room. "Would you like to say hello?" She held Tom out, but Max shook his head eminently. By now he backed up against the wall. "I don't like cats." "What?" She sounded shocked. "Cats are magical creatures." "Maybe to you they are," the other man protested. "I don't happen to be a..." Wynn shared an "I do so" look at K.O. "Eggnog?" K.O. asked, hoping to rescue the evening from a less than perfect beginning. "Please," Levon answered just as "Have yourself a merry little Christmas" began. Eager for something to do, K.O. hurried into the kitchen and grabbed the pitcher of eggnog. She heard Tom hiss loudly and gulp down some of her own eggnog just to relax. "Your cat doesn't like me," Max said as he carefully approached the sofa. "Oh, don't be silly. Tom's the friendly one." "You mean you have more than one?" "Dad," Wynn said, "why don't you sit down and make yourself comfortable? You're quite safe. Tom is very well behaved." "I don't like cats," reiterated. "Tom is a gentle and loving," Levon said. Max slowly approached the sofa. "Then why is he hissing at me?" "He senses your dislike," Levon explained. She gave Max a dazzling smile. "Pet him, and he'll be your friend for life." "See, Dad?" Wynn walked over to Levon, who sat with Tom on her lap. He ran his hand down Tom's back, and the tabby purred with pleasure. "He likes you," Max said. "He'll like you too as soon as you pet him." Levon was still happily stroking the cat's head. Max came a bit closer. "You live in the building?" he asked, making his way step by step toward Levon. "Just across the hall," she answered. "Husband too?" "No, I'm single." "Do you enjoy cards?" "Because you're welcome to stop by any time." K.O. delivered the eggnog. This was going even better than she'd hoped. Max was already interested, and Levon was issuing invitations. She recognized the gleam in the other man's eyes. A sense of triumph filled her, and she cast a glance in Wynn's direction. Wynn was just reaching into his pocket withdrawing a real-looking catnip mouse. Max leaned forward to pet Tom. At that very moment, chaos broke out. Although Levon claimed she had known Tom to take a dislike to anyone, the cat clearly detested Max. Before anyone could react, he sprang from her lap, grabbed Max's bare arm, and the cat's claws dug in, drawing blood. He wasn't about to let go either. "Get him off!" Max screamed, thrashing his arm to and fro in an effort to free himself from the cat-turned-killer. Wynn was desperately and futilely trying to distract Tom by waving the toy mouse, but it didn't help. "Tom! Tom!" Levon screeched at the top of her lungs. Blood spurted into the carpet. In a panic, Max pulled at Tom's fur. The cat then sank his teeth into Max's hand and yelled in pain. "Don't hurt me!" Levon shrieked. Frozen to the spot, K.O. watched in horror as the scene unfolded. Wynn dropped the mouse, and if not for his quick reaction, K.O. didn't know what would have happened. Before she could fully comprehend how he'd done it, Wynn had disentangled Tom from his father's arm. Levon instantly took her beloved cat into her embrace and cradled him against her side. At the sight of his own blood, Max looked like he was about to pass out. K.O. hurriedly got him a clean towel. At the amount of blood, the scratches seemed too deep. "Call 911, Max shouted. Wynn pulled out his cell phone. "That might not be a bad idea," he said to K.O. "Cat scratches can get infected." "Contact the authorities too," Max added, glaring at Levon. He stretched out his good arm and pointed at her. "I want that woman arrested and her animal destroyed." Levon cried out with alarm and hovered protectively over Tom. "My poor kitty," she whispered. "You're worried about the cat, Max? I'm bleeding to death, and you're worried about your cat." Wynn replaced his phone. "The medics are on their way." "Oh, good." K.O. could hear the sirens in the back. She turned off her CD player. Thinking she shut the lobby door, she left the apartment. And when the aid cart arrived, she directed the paramedics. Things have gotten worse in the short time she was gone. Max and Levon, as the small living room filled with people. Curious onlookers crowded the hallway outside her door. "My cat scratched him, and I'm sorry, but he provoked Tom," Levon said stubbornly. "I want that woman behind bars," Max stabbed his finger in Levon's direction. Sir, we need you to settle down," instructed the paramedic, who was attempting to take his blood pressure. "Well, in jail. Declaw her cat," Max threw in. Wynn stepped up behind K.O. "Yup," he whispered. "This is a match made in heaven, all right." Then, just as K.O. was convinced nothing more could go wrong, her phone started to ring. And that leaves us at chapter 12. Oh my goodness, what? I am so thankful the storm waited, because that was an awesome chapter, don't you guys think? Oh my goodness, whatever went wrong could go wrong. Oh my goodness, that even had me excited reading it. That was really something. That was a good chapter, y'all. Yeah, we got some weather here, but I'm so glad we kept our lights, we kept the internet. I couldn't wait to see what was going to happen. I agree with Wynn this time. He had a feeling things were not right. You get that bad feeling in your gut, you listen to it, because it's telling you something. Oh, that was a good chapter. What do you guys think about that chapter? How many of you really liked that? That had my blood pumping. It really did. What a chaotic fight that was. Oh my goodness. And he wants her cat. First he wanted the cat gotten rid of. Then he wants it declawed. Oh my goodness. How exciting. That was really exciting. I love that chapter. I cannot wait to end to chapter 12 and see what's going to happen next week, which will be Wednesday at 9 p.m. And we are going to go into chapter 12 and see what the outcome of this chaotic fight was all about. And I do want to thank you all for coming in, enjoying our Debbie Macomber's Christmas letters, something fun to relax to every week. And I'm going to play a little bit of music for a little bit. Make sure to hit that like, and if you are new in here and joining in our Christmas letters book, thank you, Mary Jo. You have a wonderful night too, sweetie. Thanks for coming in. And subscribe, and we have some super things coming up for Halloween. And tomorrow, don't forget, I had to postpone Tuesday's journal for Thursday. So tomorrow morning at 10:30, we are doing blue journaling. So that I just had to switch the days for this week because of some appointments I had. So thank you for coming in again, and you all have a good evening. And let me know what you think about the insert for chapter 12 when I put it in this week's video. It is going to be fun.